Welcome to the Munro Review, where it's all about connecting, sharing, and valuing the arts in the central San Joaquin Valley. I'm Donald Munro. Today is November 18th, and I am excited to be here in the beautiful CMAC studio in downtown Fresno. On our show today, we feature December Theater in Fresno. We have guests from Good Company Players and Children's Musical Theater Works to talk about some great family-friendly options for the month. But first, let's take a look at some of what I've been covering at MunroReview.com. I'm very proud of an investigative report that was written by Doug Hoagland, a longtime Fresno journalist who worked 3 months on a story about the inner workings of Measure P, which is the city's sales tax that will raise $7 million a year for the arts in Fresno. Here's the crux of the issue. There has to be a fair and established process for giving away that money to groups that want it. The measure provides for a citizens commission to make those decisions. But as the city gears up to start making grants, there are signs that the Fresno City Council looks at Measure P a little more like a slush fund subject to politics. I hope you'll have a chance to read this important story. Another big project is coverage of the Fashion as Art exhibition, The Queen Within, Adorned Archetypes. This impressive traveling show at the Fresno Art Museum uses the work of famed fashion designers, including Alexander McQueen, to offer an archetypal view of women in society. To give you an in-depth look at the exhibition, I went with a CMAC crew to get a personal tour from curator Sarah Vargas. You'll find that video on the Munro Review via YouTube. It's a 27-minute experience, and it's wonderful as Vargas offers her expert commentary. This video tour is part of a package on TMR devoted to fall at the museum, including pieces on guest speakers and a look at the fashion show spectacular Trashique. Fall at the Museum is also the time for the museum to honor its annual Woman Artist of the Year. That artist is Kim Abelies. Sarah gave us a quick peek at that exhibition too, and we're going to show it right here. We are here at the Fresno Art Museum with curator Sarah Vargas, and she is going to tell us a little bit about a wonderful tradition that the museum has.
So since 1988, the museum has honored a distinguished woman artist every year, with the exception of our pandemic years where we were closed, to promote women artists who are still very underrepresented in the art world. So Kim Abelies is the Council of 100's Distinguished Woman Artist for 2022. And her exhibition takes up our lobby and concourse areas at the museum. And it was curated by our executive director and chief curator, Michelle Ellis-Precy.
This is an astounding piece. It's like I could stand here and look at this for a long time. What is this one called? This
is called Pearls of Wisdom. There are 186 pearls on this wall, each on their own individual shelves. So what this project encompassed was the concept of working through trauma. So Kim worked with domestic violence survivors, usually through women's shelters, and taking the concept of the pearl forming inside of an oyster when it is exposed to some sort of toxic environment. These survivors took written words or pieces that reminded them of what they had gone through, what they had survived, and then they created these pearls that enveloped that. And then they are all tied together on these shelves. So each of these was constructed by a domestic violence survivor.
And is the written material actually inside?
Yes, so, and it's private. And we don't know what it says. It's their own personal story. And this is part of the healing process.
And it just really gives the whole piece this added weight
it's very powerful
to it,
and that is the thing with Kim's pieces. There are powerful stories behind every piece of artwork that are on these walls, and her work is very conceptual. It's installation based, and so those stories are so important to the understanding of what you're looking at.
And tell us, how long does this show run?
This show will run through January 8th.
So at the Fresno Art Museum, there's a lot going on. You should come check it out. Now, let's change the focus to theater. Our first guests are from Children's Musical Theater Works, whose big holiday show this season is the classical musical Oliver. Let's welcome CJ Dion and Katie Mejias. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So you play, respectively, you are Nancy.
Yes.
And you are Fagin. For those of us who aren't quite, up to date or can't remember quite the storyline, tell us who your characters are. Katie?
My character is Nancy. She used to be a member of Fagin's gang when she was a child and then grew up to be a barmaid. And she is in a toxic relationship with Bill Sykes and eventually becomes a very close friend of Oliver's.
And you sing that very famous, that well-known song, As Long as He Needs Me.
Oh, yes.
And we'll be hearing that in just a few minutes. CJ, you are Fagin. Did you ever think, when you were growing up, that you're gonna play the part of Fagin?
No, actually, me being the size that I am, I'm typically cast as a Bill. But life happens, and my Bill is 6'5", who makes me look a little bit smaller. So
the actor who's playing Bill Sykes opposite you is a tall guy.
He's a tall guy.
So I assume we're going to see you with a stringy beard.
Yes, you won't recognize me.
And that
long wig and stringy long beard, and he's the staple in the pickpocket community. He's the one who taught them all.
Oliver has so many songs that are so well known, and they really do get into your brain. But Pick a Pocket or Two is one of those songs, isn't it?
Be Back Soon.
Be Back Soon.
Food, Glorious Food.
Consider Yourself.
Consider Yourself, yeah.
And my favorite was always Who Will Buy. I don't quite know why. It has just like a real sweetness and a pureness.
And it's just a positive thing it's like an affirmation to a day,
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. So tell us a little bit about CMT and how it handles this holiday show. I know usually it's strictly kids, but you're both over that 20-year mark. So tell us about that.
So I think that the CMT, likes to do this show where it's kind of a crossover show, if you will, and it's good for the kids too because they get to be in a cast with the adults, and it's a kind of a mentor program in that sense.
Yeah.
CMT double casts, and so both casts are age appropriate in their respective, how they live. Like our group is one group of age is the adults, and then the younger adults who are still adults and not children, they all fit together in there. So
yeah,
it kind of works that way.
Yeah, that's how our casts are kind of, for lack of a better word, divided. The Twist cast is primarily adults, and then the Dickens cast is more of the younger group, but still in the adult range. So
I understand that this version of Oliver has been trimmed down, kind of buffed up a little. What are a couple of the changes?
Well, they did shorten Papa a bit. There have been there are verses that were taken out of Papa because some of them were very mature in some way. Not so much mature, but explicit.
I could see that.
Yeah, so we took some verses out of Papa.
I Shall Scream.
Yeah, so I Shall Scream, that, oh my gosh, that's like a sexual discrimination lawsuit waiting to happen, right?
It's they cut out the inappropriate early stuff in that song, but they kept the fun bumble and corny moments in there.
But there are still some adult themes in Oliver that I don't think you could really take out.
So
I mean, this is a Dickens carol, right? And you've got to keep that kind of that sort of grimmer side.
No redeeming qualities.
No.
Right.
No.
Right. And Oliver has always interested me because it really does show a society in which you have very wealthy people and you have really, really poor people. And it's interesting to kind of meld that into a Broadway musical.
Shanna, our director, was talking the other night about how the one line in the show that really resonates with her is they don't have to sin to eat. It's in the Nancy's song, A Fine Life, and it's interesting to think about life that way. That these people had to sin to be able to survive.
Right.
in a sense, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no safety net for these kids.
Right.
So can I tell you my Oliver story?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was Oliver in my freshman year in high school. It was the top of my theater experience. I went downhill from there. The next year I was the second yeoman or whatever in South Pacific. So, fall from grace. But Oliver is on stage pretty much that entire show. It is a arduous role.
Yes, to say the least.
What do you take away from Oliver after you see this show? Is there anything that speaks to you?
I think that it's one of those things where for me it's just that it's a classic musical. You go away humming the songs. You go away feeling a little bit. I mean, it doesn't end the happiest, but there is a warm ending to this show, and I think that when you walk away with the orchestrations in your head, you're not thinking about really how it ended, but more so the whole story and family and togetherness and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, after you leave the theater after watching it, there are some really happy songs that stuck to your head, and you're humming them as you're driving in the car home. And but yeah, it is a very bittersweet ending. Like, it's happy, but it's also sad because it doesn't end very well for some people. Not going to spoil, but
And the song that you sing is really a powerhouse, and I know that it has remained popular, for decades.
Oh, yeah.
What is it like to sing that song? How do you get that kind of wrenching soul feel to
definitely an adrenaline type of song, because by the climax, when you go the "I won't betray," it's like, and the music swells, you just feel this big adrenaline and you feel tears coming down.
And she goes there. She's
yes.
awesome.
Oh, thank you. And I do enjoy singing the song very much, and I have not sung that song before up until the show, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, we are excited to hear you sing it. Before we do that, just remind us, when does Oliver play? Where is it? How do you get tickets? All that good stuff.
Oliver opens December 2nd and performs through December 11th. You can get tickets on the website, www.cmtworks.org, and it's at the Fresno Memorial Auditorium in downtown Fresno.
Well, great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming by, and let's have you take the stage. And now, singing the song "As Long as He Needs Me" from the musical Oliver, Katie Mejias.
As long as he needs me. Oh yeah, he does need me. In spite of what you'd see, I'm sure that he needs me. Who else would love him still when they've been used so ill? He knows I always will, as long as he needs me. If you are lonely, then you will know when someone needs you, you love them so. I won't betray his trust, though people say I must. I've got to stay true, just as long as he needs me.
Thank you so much. When we return, 2 holiday shows from Good Company Players. Thank you.
Welcome.
If you add up the number of Good Company Players performances from our next 2 guests, I don't even think Santa could count that high. Let's welcome Jessica Sarkisian and Tracy Jones to talk about the best Christmas pageant ever and Beauty and the Beast. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Hello.
It's fun to be able to talk about two Good Company shows at the same time. Essentially, you guys are playing the same nights across from each other. So let's start with Tracy. You are Mrs. Potts,
Mrs. Potts.
in Beauty and the Beast. How many times have you
I think
played that
last
role?
night was 108.
108. And so just to kind of give the audience some perspective, that's because you've done two different productions previous.
Yes, in 05 and 06.
05 and 06, so it's actually been quite a while.
Yeah, 16 years. Yeah.
Since, and so what was it like to come back after 16 years?
Well, I won't lie, I had a lot of nostalgia for my friends that were in it before. Jessica played Belle last time, but this is a great group of youngsters, young people, and they're hardworking people.
And so Jessica, you played in those first two productions. You were
Yes.
Belle.
Yes.
And now you've moved across the street.
Yeah, this is what happens when Belle, gets married, grows up, has a couple of kids, and then she gets to direct a Christmas pageant.
A Christmas pageant. So lots of people know the story of Christmas pageant, but some people don't. So let us know just a little bit about what the show's about.
Well, it's a really lovely story. The young girl who plays my daughter, played by Kaylin Sanders, who's extremely talented, she recalls a time where her mom was called upon last minute to direct the Christmas pageant. And it's what happens when her mom finds out that the worst kids in town have come to join the pageant. And through all of that, the young girl reflects on how she truly learns what Christmas is all about.
So these would be the famous Herdman.
That's right, the
children.
Herdmans.
Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, as one lady said, I live across the street from those people and I don't know what to do with them. She said it's like herding cats or something like that. Basically, they're dirtier than the other kids. They don't seem to quite understand what the other kids understand, and they don't even know what church is all about. So.
And there is a touching message in this show.
I think it's really beautiful to see the Christmas nativity through the eyes of kids who have no concept of what it is. And for them to come completely new to the story and say, well, wait a minute, nobody was accepting them anywhere, and they just had to have the baby in a barn. Where were the people to help them out? We've got people trying to help us out all the time, but who was helping out the baby Jesus? You're telling me this was the Son of God and this is what happened. So it's really sweet in that they have this unique perspective on the story.
So Tracy, for you, it's neat to think that you're playing to a whole new audience of kids who, a lot of them probably this will be the first time they see
Absolutely.
Beauty and the Beast.
Absolutely.
And what is that like for you? Do they come up afterward and want to say hi to Mrs. Potts?
They would, but we can't because of COVID.
Oh,
We
because of
can't.
COVID. Oh.
Last time, I know, I do miss that part of it, that they, we did have 145, I think, Girl Scouts the other night, and you could feel it in the room. You could feel the excitement. And I think last time I did it, I was more about me having fun, but this time I'm more into the audience having fun. I've matured in it, and they are. They're really responsive.
Now, remind me, your costume, is it bulky? Is it hard to wear? Do you
I
get
have to hold
tired
my
of it?
arm up for entire production numbers, but Ginger did a little bit of altering to it to make it a little more comfortable this time. Last time my arm was up for the entire run of the show, the entire night of the show, but now I can bring it down and bring it back up. But
now there are so many versions of Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
How do you go into a situation like that where you're singing this really famous song?
Well, Angela Lansbury, nobody does it like her, so it's a little bit of pressure, I must say. But it's a great song. It's the song.
It's the song.
No pressure.
no pressure at all. Did all the lines come back to you?
Not as quickly as I thought, and then they had changed some lines. The lines were changed, and I kept thinking, why do I want to say it this way? And it was pointed out to me that there was quite a bit of line change in the script that we're using this time.
Now, Jessica, is this your first time in Christmas pageant?
This is my first time in that show, yes.
So it was a new line load for you to.
It was a little bit daunting, I'm
learn.
not going to lie. It took me a while.
But just to let folks know, I mean, this is a pretty funny show. It's
very funny.
It's a very humorous.
Yeah.
It's touching, but it's also got a lot of
It's really
laughs.
sweet because, you know, kids are funny. When kids are, the honesty that comes out of children is hilarious often. And the audiences get some really great laughs. Yeah, it has a gut punch there for you too, but it definitely gets you giggling. And it's funny to watch this mother kind of lose control of what she thought was going to be no problem. I'm just going to go and direct this pageant. It's going to be no problem. I kind of can relate to that. I often think, oh, this line load will be no problem. Okay, wait a second. Better buckle down and figure this out. So.
Right. So I've always wondered what it's like to be in a holiday show for GCP, because you're starting rehearsals in August and the show opens either the last week in October or first week in November. Is it hard to get into that Christmas spirit that early?
Yes, a little bit, but obviously I don't seem to mind because I think this is my probably sixth or seventh seventh Christmas show. And you know, I think what I enjoy, there's definitely a family feel about it. My daughter's in the show with me, and we get to spend all that holiday time together, traveling to and from and discussing things, and it's just lovely. And the casts are so lovely.
And we have our Secret Santa.
We have Secret Santa, and we have so many goodies, and
Right.
it's just a really lovely family feel to Christmas.
So do you wait until December 24th to do your Christmas shopping? Because you run until December 23rd.
That never happens, Donald. What are you talking? Actually, yes, I'm horrible because I'm one of those people who I get, like, oh, we're going to do a gift exchange, and I get the information in October, and that's the person that drives me crazy because I know I'm not going to get to it till right before Christmas.
The deadline, yeah.
So the fact that they're so prepared just makes me feel not prepared. So.
Well, one of the great things about live theater, especially at the holidays, is you do spend it with people. And I think it's very special, I'm guessing, to have, that your Decembers are chock full of
people.
Of people, making people happy.
Enjoying the holiday. Yes, and going back to Beauty and the Beast, I mean, I'm lucky that I am currently directing the pre-show where the junior company comes out and performs. So I get to sit in the theater for a little bit before the show starts, which is lovely nostalgia for me to see the set. And I get to look around and see all these kids coming to see live theater for the first time. And each time, that's the gift for me, is watching them sit there and get so excited. Even at just watching the kids come out to perform, they're ready. They're ready to absorb and learn and have a wonderful time. And families that come.
It's truly magical. It is.
It is, and they talk back to you.
It's different than sitting in front of the television. It doesn't matter
100%.
how exciting or well-made or the budget of what you're watching on TV. If you're experiencing it with other people, with your family, you just feel that.
And, not to encourage the talking back, but when kids do it so honestly, it's amazing. I still remember some of the things kids said to me 16 years ago it was.
Yes.
One little girl said to me, I could hear her talking. I was sitting on a stool, but she thought it was my bed, and she said, Mommy, Belle has a very tiny bed.
That's life in the stage world, right?
Right? And you hear that right before you're supposed to sing a serious song, and so you just sit there and go, mm-hmm. But.
Well, let's remind folks when and where you are playing. So December 23rd at the Second Space Theater.
Right, we're now until December 23rd at the Second Space Theater.
And Tracy, how long do you play?
We're now until, we just added a week because it's selling so well, so we're till the 15th of January.
It's great to learn that it's selling
It is
well.
doing well. We're adding shows and adding.
And if this is the show that you're going to make that return to live theater, that's probably a really good one. to
It
do
is.
it.
It's great for all ages. I just want to say it's not just great for the kids.
Right, right. Well, Tracy, we look forward to hearing you sing in just a moment your famous song.
Thank you.
And now, here to sing the song from Beauty and the Beast is Tracy Jones.
Tale as old as time, true as it can be. Barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. Just a little change, small to say the least, both a little scared, neither one prepared, Beauty and the Beast. Ever just the same, ever a surprise, ever as before, ever just as sure as the sun will rise. Tale as old as time, tune as old as song, bitter-sweet and strange, finding you can change, learning you were wrong. Certain as the sun, rising in the east, tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast.
Thank you so much, Tracy. That song gets me every time. Well, that wraps it up for this episode of the Munro Review on CMAC. A special thanks to our guests, CJ Dion, Katie Mejias, Jessica Sarkisian, and Tracy Jones. Plus, a special thanks to Sarah Vargas at the Fresno Art Museum, and for giving us not one, but two wonderful tours. Be sure to watch our special Queen Within video tour, by the way. Thanks to our CMAC crew for making this show possible, and remember to continue embracing and enjoying the greater Fresno area's vibrant art scene. We'll see you next time.